a mother notices that her daughter has been emitting a foul odor for days. Worried, she takes her to the doctor and reveals a frightening discovery. Samantha was born into a humble family. Her father planted corn, and at harvest time her mother cooked a variety of dishes from the golden grain and went to sell them in a small stall near the best university in town. Samantha was the only girl among the three brothers, and so her mother always took her with her to help sell the food. The girl was intelligent and had a strong voice, announcing every product her mother offered. Since the girl learned to read, she became interested in novels published in scandal magazines. However, the family's economic situation did not allow her to buy such entertainment. Therefore, every month, her mother visited her sister, who lived in a neighboring town, to give her the magazines she had already read. Samantha marveled every time her mother returned with a bag full of famous magazines and assured herself that one day her own name would appear in those pages. The girl smiled and advised her to dream big every time she heads to the stall for sales. A fan of the huge university nearby, she also spoke of her plans to study there. Her father often expressed his hope that she would become a successful professional, since the men usually postponed their studies in an effort to expand the production their father had achieved. The boys dreamed of buying additional land. They were unanimous in their desire to have a family with a wife and children laboring. The father managed to secretly accumulate funds to fulfill his daughter's dream of going to university. The saving was done secretly, but when his wife discovered the stash where the money was kept and he told her about his goal, she expressed her willingness to contribute as well. Each day, the women set aside 10 of the proceeds from grocery sales in a savings box. Samantha was only 9 years old when her parents started this process, and she had no idea the sacrifices they were making. In turn, the girl was an excellent student and was successful in her studies in literature. She loved making up stories and was always keen on reading novels from magazines that were perhaps not quite appropriate for her. However, these were the only amusements she could afford. Although they lived on a small farm, it was not located on the outskirts of town, which offered her excellent prospects for an education, and she did not fail. With excellent grades, she was even offered a scholarship to study journalism at a private school. The only condition was to maintain high grades throughout her studies. Samantha was full of happiness and studied with increased diligence, striving to fulfill her big school dream in high school. She became a top student, which led to a scholarship. On that day, her parents handed over all the money they had saved for her, and she could not hold back tears of happiness. A few months later, she stepped into the spacious campus of the university, full of dreams, and from the first day she focused on maintaining high grades. The girl stood out by participating in writing competitions and winning consistently. She also did an internship at a TV channel, where everything was so easy for her that she was taken to the main news program. In her second year, she got a job that allowed her to buy a used car. She met Paul, an attractive guy who was an object of attention for everyone, but to her, he represented just another arrogant guy. The girl wasn't paying attention to him, and it bothered him a lot, to the point where he voiced his displeasure with the way she presented the news. Despite this, she was highly respected on her channel, and everyone told him that his opinion was not justified in any way. The girl successfully graduated from high school, and her co-workers threw her a great surprise party. She was full of happiness, not even realizing that this night would change her life, as Paul took the opportunity to declare his love. He claimed to be madly in love and even proposed marriage to her. Samantha was skeptical at first, but after seeing the guy's persistence, she agreed. Her best friend warned her, but Samantha didn't pay much attention to it thinking that her friend was wrong. At the time, she didn't understand the reasons why. News of their relationship spread quickly, and those around them found their behavior strange for the time. Samantha's happiness was at an all-time high when she was called away from the magazine. She had been reading since childhood and offered a much higher salary than what she was already receiving. However, Paul tried to clip her wings, claiming that if she left the TV station, their relationship would suffer because of the infrequency of their meetings. However, she was unwilling to give up her dream and travel to get a contract. Now her job was in a different city, and she traveled by her own modest car every day. This allowed her to quickly gain readers. Despite her outward success, her personal relationships crumbled daily. It seemed that Paul could not accept her success. A year later, when her professional career was at its peak, Samantha found out she was pregnant. Upon informing Paul of this, he laughed and refused to take responsibility for the future child, claiming that she should pay for her earlier neglect. Despite Paul's blatant indifference, Samantha decided to move to the city where she worked. Supported by her bosses and parents, she was determined to be happy in her pregnancy, regardless of the circumstances. Left alone when her daughter Carla was born, the young woman realized she had made the best decision. She spent a period of maternity leave accompanied by her mother. Subsequently, however, she had to leave and hired a nanny. A few months later, Samantha discovered that the nanny was not feeding her daughter, who was only a little over a year old. She requested permission to work remotely, and after explaining the situation, her superiors did not hesitate to support her decision. From that moment on, she devoted herself fully to caring for her daughter. It was difficult to balance work with being a wonderful mother, especially as the girl grew up and became more and more mischievous, bringing her mother additional worries. A message about a journalism contest appeared in her mailbox, and colleagues insisted that she should definitely enter. Thus, she focused on preparing material for the contest, which in turn double-crossed her daughter due to her urgent responsibilities. Proud and determined not to bother her mother about her difficulties, she continued to consider the possibilities of combining her role as a mother and working remotely. The stress brought weight loss, but her efforts paid off when her work was recognized as a winner. This gave the editorial team she worked for considerable prestige. The prize they received was substantial, and everyone was happy. At this time, Samantha had gotten used to having her daughter in a small playpen to keep her safe from possible injury when climbing up or down. That same day, she approached a little girl to treat her. When she smelled a foul odor coming from the child, she was horrified. Initially thinking that the little girl was just soiled, she decided to bathe her. After finding that the diaper was completely clean, she spritzed the child with perfume and changed her clothes. However, the foul odor continued to linger. Worried but faced with urgent matters, she could not take the girl to the doctor that day. Although she had little time, she decided to tell her mother that taking care of the girl should be her priority. Having gotten that message through, the woman asked for permission to take time off work. Upon arriving at the clinic, everyone noticed a foul odor, raising their hands to their nose. The famous journalist was highly agitated. When it was her turn, the doctor was amazed, because after a thorough examination of the girl, no visible reason for the odor was found. The only sign was a stuffy nose. The specialist, in confusion, decided to examine the girl's nose, and something incredible was found there. A piece of sponge from the playpen in which her mother had placed her was stuck in the girl's nose. The sponge had begun to rot, and a few more days, and it could have cost the girl her life. The doctor had to enlist the help of a surgeon who performed an anesthesia procedure to remove the sponge from the girl's nose. A week later, Carla's condition was completely improved, and her mother learned an important lesson about from that moment on, even as she continued to work from home. She decided to hire a nanny so that the latter could devote herself fully to the care of the girl. If you like the stories on our channel, put a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and put a bell to be the first listener of another new story. Good luck, and come back. It will be interesting.